Hello? I think we are live. I still love that sweat. I think we're live. Should be good. All right. Welcome to the stream. I'm wearing my NASA shirt because we just landed on fucking Mars. Well, not. I mean, when I say we, I'm using the, I guess, royal we across the globe. But I don't know. We have Elron and Ken with us. I'm curious. Did either of you see the landing of Perseverance on the surface of Mars?
I don't know what you're talking about earlier saying we're not involved because I'm actually on Mars broadcasting from there currently. So
Holy
speak for
shit.
yourself, Johnny.
Fair enough. Uh, it's one of those things. It's weird seeing a bunch of people. You did see. Oh, great. Little Bread saw it. It's like neat watching like all these people in a room staring at computers, and then when it like happens and they all get up and like clap and cheer and stuff like this. And I wonder like how much of it, like, are they doing things in that moment, or are they just watching the numbers on the screen going, God, I hope those formulas I inputted earlier are functioning correctly.
Yeah,
But it's like weird theatrics going on, you know. But
my
it's a
limited.
fun.
Well,
Go ahead,
I've
Ellen.
I've played Kerbal Space Program, so I know a little bit about
Yeah.
landing things on Mars, and I know that feeling of watching the thing you built land. And as someone who's landed quite a few things on Mars, I gotta give it to them. They did a good job.
No, like the joy is authentic. Like the fact of like, because that's the moment when you are aware. Because I think there's still like a time delay or whatever, right? But that's the moment you become aware that it landed and everything seems to be fine, right? But there's still,
Yeah,
it's like there's a sense in which they have all the computers set up, right? It's like, are they gonna do some like last minute formula crunches or something? Like as it's like rocketing towards the surface of the planet. There's just some like
I
optics of it that I always find kind of silly.
yeah, I imagine just because you said it, there's a time delay. I think it's like 11 minutes, so the whole thing has to be automated, and I guess they're just kind of monitoring the thing's vitals
Yeah.
as you would, and that's why they're just intently looking at
Yeah.
all these screens to explode or something.
Yeah. No, it was fun though. It was fun. I heard as well that it has some sort of like helicopter thing. I don't know what that is going to like do, but it's like neat that now we don't just have rovers on the surface now. We now have like flight. Just hover over the surface.
Excellent.
Now, I'm sure none of you are here for the Mars talk, so we'll jump right to why everyone is here. This is a Rebel News Friday, and for those of you who haven't been paying attention, we didn't release a podcast episode this week, and part of that is Caitlin. It's her reading week, and it was also Family Day this past Monday, so a lot of stuff. And I think we're both experiencing some burnout on various levels. So we decided to sort of take a bit of a break. We're going to start up again next week. But I am going to release an episode for last week's Rebel content. I'm probably going to do it over this weekend. And what I hope to do is this segment, the first little bit of a segment here, I'm just going to add as the main segment. But I'll also record kind of the brief like notes of all the other various things that they covered. But I'll be honest, it was like convenient that we needed a break right now, because the show was like, there was hardly any content to dig into. You had like some, like the main cast of characters were coming back. So you had this guy Manny Montenegrino, he appeared again, and this other dude named Lauren Gunter, and they were just boring and talking like, Alberta needs gas, and the global climate people are saying no to it, and that's mean, like that kind of stuff. And it's like, I really don't give a shit. But there was one thing that I wanted to go a little bit in depth in, but like not too much. On the Friday episode, they had Joel Pollock on, who, for those who don't know, Joel Pollak is a Breitbart editor. Alberta needs baked beans. Why aren't you in the chat, Vienna? You can hop in. I mean, like, you can digest this however you want, but you did pay for the privilege to be in the voice chat. So Joel Pollak, for those who don't know, is from Breitbart News, and he was on the Friday episode of Rebel, and they talked about impeachment, and it was really bad. I mean, like, Joel Pollak's most, like, main takeaway about impeachment was that Trump's lawyers were just super awesome, and that they made the best case ever on free speech, and that everyone needs to listen. Just listen to Trump's defense lawyers, because we don't need to listen to the House Democrats, because obviously Democrats are bad and you shouldn't listen to them. You just have to listen to Trump's defense lawyers, because they make the most amazing case against cancel culture and pro-free speech in this impeachment trial. And the thing that's really annoying about that is citizens in the American country, the United States, have free speech. But that doesn't mean that your elected officials have the same kind of free speech. And part of that is because they take an oath to defend the Constitution. And what comes with that oath is certain responsibilities, like not leading an insurrection against the government that you just swore an oath to protect, right? So, I mean, the whole free speech argument is just really stupid, and they mostly focus on that. But Joel Pollak pushes Ezra and is like, there's one thing that happens that you really need to watch, because it's the most important thing that was said during this entire trial. And so we're now going to watch what Joel Pollak thinks was the most important thing that happened at this trial. And so brace yourselves. Because, like, I don't know, there's no turning back. We've been so manipulated by the mainstream media that I don't think any of you are prepared to hear this devastating news about how we've all been wrong for so long. So here it goes.
Well, this lie traveled around the world a few times, made its way into the Biden campaign talking points, and ended up on the Senate floor. The Charlottesville Lie.
The Charlottesville Lie. Bum, bum, bum.
Why?
Now, I will pause here and say that what we're going to hear, this comes from PragerU. So just let this sink in, that Trump's defense team is pulling from Prager University right now to defend the president for something he's not being impeached for. My guess is the reason why they're bringing this up is to say, look, the media constantly lies about Donald Trump. Therefore, the Democrats are lying about Donald Trump? Really, there's no reason to bring this up. But the point is there was a lie having to deal with Charlottesville. So now we're going to learn what that lie is.
Prager-U, more like Pogger-U, am I right?
Isn't Poggers good? I don't know enough about the lingual. I don't know if we want to say that PragerU is Poggers.
No, we certainly don't, but we do want to say that this channel is Poggers, and if you wait long enough, you will have some Poggers emotes in the chat.
Yeah. Listen, I will get on the Elrod can vouch for the fact while we were waiting for the stream to start up. It's been a rough week with my kids.
Oh, it's been a rough week for me with your kids. Jeez. Send them back. I don't know where you got them from, but send them back.
No, my youngest has, love her to bits, but has learned some defiance, and she does not take no lightly anymore. She throws a complete and utter fit. She's almost 3, so she's in that 2 to 3 buffer period, which is very typical for them to gain that kind of ego. It's just during COVID, it's been kind of rough this past week, and it came fast. It just went like boom, and then she was in on it. So I can't even remember why I went on that. See, listen, it's like affected my brain so much I can't even remember.
It's my fault.
No, it's all right. So what's happening right now is we're going to hear about the Charlottesville Lie. So I guess Here it comes. This is what the lie is. Be prepared.
Very fine people on both sides. Except that isn't all he said. And they knew it then, and they know it now. Watch this.
But you all.
So the lie here is that Donald Trump said there's good people on both sides. And then that was all he said. And so what they're going to do is they're going to play that sort of like the clip about both people are bad people on both sides, but then play a longer context that they then think vindicates Donald Trump and makes him out to be better than he's been, say, lambasted by the mainstream media.
Also had people that were very fine people on both sides. You had people in that group, excuse me, I saw the same pictures as you did. You had people in that group that were there to protest the taking down of, to them, a very, very important statue and the renaming of a park from Robert E. Lee to another name.
Robert E. Lee are not the same.
Well, no, George Washington was a slave owner. Was George Washington a slave owner? So will George Washington now lose his status? Are we going to take down, excuse me, are we going to take down statues to George Washington? How about Thomas Jefferson? What do you think of Thomas Jefferson? You like him? Okay, good. Are we going to take down?
I mean, like, you know, us over here on the left are just like, take down all the fucking statues.
Yeah. Lock them up. Get rid of them. Lock her up.
But again, I mean, it's going to get worse here, but you can tell, like, he's defending, like, there was good people who legitimately did not want this statue of Robert E. Lee, who was a general for the Confederacy and was fighting to maintain slavery. Like, already you're just like, is this good for Trump? Does this really make him seem great?
Yeah.
But it goes on.
On the statue because he was a major slave owner. Now we're going to take down his statue. So you know what? It's fine. You're changing history, you're changing culture, and you had people, and I'm not talking about the neo-Nazis and the white nationalists, because they should be condemned totally.
So what surprises me is when you hear the juxtaposition there, because he says there's people out there trying to destroy culture. And then he goes on to say that there's these white nationalists and they should be condemned completely. But who are the people who are talking about culture being destroyed? Aren't those usually the neo-Nazis, right? So there's like this weird juxtaposition here where he's using their language and yet then he just pivots to like condemning them, right?
But well, it's this weird thing that the people that tend to argue for, or to tend, let's see if I can talk. The people that tend to argue against the removal and destruction of statues that say things like, well, you're trying to, as he said, change history or erase history. It's like, statues are not like a historical, like, they're glorifying things. They're saying like, this was cool. Like, that's what a statue is signifying, right? It's supposed to be this big celebration of the thing. And if it's a statue of a slave owner or of someone who, you know, for example, here with Sir John A. Macdonald and his horrific crimes against the indigenous people here, yeah, they shouldn't have statues. They shouldn't have celebrations about them. They can be in a textbook. They can be in a museum. They don't have to have a fucking statue.
Well, in a textbook will give context too, right? I mean, like the statues don't really give context. But even then, most of these statues were not like erected during the moment. They were erected during the push for civil rights in the United States,
right.
And they were used, created by like, what was it, the Daughters of the Confederacy or whatever. Like a lot of these statues were erected by people who were pushing back against the movements at their time that were promoting civil rights and equality, right? And like we even covered this like in our context because you talked about John A. Macdonald. We talked about the statue in Nova Scotia, where it's like a lot of these discussions, like that's the statue in Nova Scotia we talked about. I can't remember the guy's name. Jesus.
I can't think of it either.
Yeah, he was an asshole. Anyways, it wasn't John A. Macdonald. It was some British general or sergeant of some kind who
torn down for that alone.
Who basically went and offered payments to scalp for the scalps of Mi'kmaq people. And so this person, like, the statue was erected in 1930. And this wasn't, and why was it erected in 1930? I mean, what people don't understand is it wasn't put there to say, remembering the history, remembering our great heritage or whatever. It was put there to be like, look at this strong, virile, Western man who came and settled this land. And they completely ignored, when they were erecting this statue, the fact that he was complicit in a genocide and literally asked for the scalps of the people he was genociding. And that was completely not present during that statue unveiling in the 1930s.
Yeah, I think it was Cornwallis. Was that the name?
Cornwallis? Yes, Edward Cornwallis.
Okay, yeah. Now I remember that discussion. Yeah, and I mean, a lot of this, especially as you mentioned, in terms of the context of the civil rights movement, a lot of these statues were put up as a direct opposite to that, or in opposition and in reaction to that. It's all these people are trying to fight for some rights. Well, let's put these statues up of some people that maybe wouldn't have been all about that, as almost like an intimidation factor.
Yeah. The other thing is, so he ends by saying the neo-Nazis, which we should condemn 100%. And that's the moment where they're like, ha, see? Gotcha, liberal. He condemned the neo-Nazis. Gotcha.
Yeah, after all the other stuff that he said, just ignore that stuff. You just gotta weed through it a little bit till you get to the part where he condemns them utterly, after making a weird juxtaposition with culture destroying. But he said it.
Yeah, but it's actually the thing is, they think that this is exculpatory in some ways, but it's not, and we'll discuss that in a second.
But you had many people in that group other than neo-Nazis and white nationalists, okay? And the press has treated them absolutely unfairly. Now, in the other group also, you had some fine people, but you also had troublemakers, and you see them come with the black outfits and with the helmets and with the baseball bats. You had a lot of bad people in the other group too.
The press is treated unfairly, sir. I'm sorry, I just didn't understand what you were saying. You were saying the press has treated white nationalists unfairly? No, I just didn't understand what you were saying.
No. There were people in that rally, and I looked the night before. If you look, there were people protesting very quietly the taking down of the statue of Robert E. Lee. I'm sure in that group there were some bad ones. The following day, it looked like they had some rough, bad people. Neo-Nazis, white nationalists, whatever you want to call them. But you had a lot of people in that group that were there to innocently protest, and very legally protest, because, I don't know if you know, they had a permit.
They had a permit that the ACLU fought for them to get as well. So, we got sort of two points here, which is that the crowd contained, they weren't just neo-Nazis. And then the other thing is, the night before, they were peacefully protesting the statue. So, the point about them being full of people who some of them are nice. They weren't all neo-Nazis. Can anyone remember what the name of the event was in Charlottesville?
It was the peace and love thing, wasn't it?
It had to do with uniting the right.
Yeah. Unity. Oh.
Well, and so here's the thing. When you hold an event that was called Unite the Right, and the people who run it are inviting people, or people who are showing up are the neo-Nazis because they're right-wingers that want to unite with other people, if you're willing to ally with neo-Nazis, what does that say about your own beliefs? Don't it's not it's one thing when you talk about certain crowd, when people try to essentialize about a crowd, about how Black Lives Matter is full of all people in Black Lives Matter want X, right? But it's another thing saying that the event is called Unite the Right. And the goal was to unite all these people together. And one of those groups you're supposed to unite with, according to this event, is neo-Nazis. then like, when you're saying here in your fucking speech that, oh yeah, the Nazis are bad, but they weren't all bad people. They were people who wanted to ally with neo-Nazis. Like, so it's like, okay, that's not exculpatory. But then the next point is that I saw the night before. Now, here's the thing, is the video that we're watching now, I think, was on August 15th, and I feel like the rally was like 2 days prior. So this is several days before, like, the march the night before, and Heather Heyer has already been murdered. All these things. He knows about all this. He would have had the time to check in on all this stuff. And he says the people the night before were fine people. Now, I don't know if any of you remember this, but these were the fucking people the night before. All right? So let's see what they have to say.
Jews will not replace us! Jews will not replace us! Jews will not replace us! Blood and soil! Blood and soil! Blood and soil! Blood and soil!
So, these are the people that Donald Trump was calling nice people. These were the nice people on both sides that he said in that clip that were protesting the night before.
Both sides.
So, it's so disingenuous to fucking play this clip, making it seem like what Trump said back then was so innocent. And so, he condemned the neo-Nazis, you see? Even though he specifically highlighted those people the night before, the ones carrying the tiki torches, the ones saying Jews will not replace us, the ones chanting blood and soil, those people were the nice people on that side. Telling, isn't it?
I was just gonna say, if anyone wants a good like timeline of those events, there's a great YouTuber, Sean, that I'm sure many people listening to this are aware of, who did an excellent video making much the same points. And if you go there, watch his video, comment on it, tell him that Jody, Elrond, and Dr. Dick had sent you, and I'm sure he will react with complete confusion.
Yeah, it's not like so. I'm glad you brought up that video. I was going to bring it up in 2 seconds because just watch how they end this here. Well, we'll watch how Trump ends it, and then when the lawyer comes back in.
The other group didn't have a permit. So I only tell you this, there are two sides to a story. I thought what took place was a horrible moment for our country, a horrible moment. But there are two sides to the country. Does anybody have a final? Does anybody have, you have an infrastructure.
What makes you think? This might be today the first time the news networks played those full remarks in their context.
So, right, because the news media never covered this at all. So the one thing that's really great about Sean's video on this subject, and I do recommend you check it out. If you type in the Charlottesville Lie and then Sean, it should come up. Sean points out that like there's this myth, and PragerU is who Sean is responding to, that created this like idea. And even PragerU has changed the name of their video, so it was called the Charlottesville Lie. It's now called something else. The whole point of their video is to point out that like the media never covered it. And Sean goes in a lot of detail pointing out that no, the media covers it, and they've played that clip in its full context several times during this whole time. And in fact, you could go to MSNBC's YouTube right now and see that clip in full context with nothing edited out. So conservative, like, here's the thing is, Trump's lawyers during this impeachment fucking lied. Just fucking lied. With no care in the world. And Joel Pollak goes on Ezra's show, for one, to tell us that somehow you just have to listen to these defense attorneys, and they were the greatest defense attorneys of all time. And then said, in particular, that what happened here was the most important moment of this entire trial. And why is that relevant to us? Because the reason why Rebel is receives so much disdain in our country and is rejected by the Conservative Party is Ezra's connection with what happened in Charlottesville, in that he sent his, well, we'll get into whether he actually sent or not Faith Goldy, but Faith Goldy, an employee of his, went to Charlottesville, was present during Heather Heyer's death, and then, following her death, went on a neo-Nazi podcast. You know? Yep. So it's like, for Pollock to bring this up, and then for Ezra then plays this clip, and it's like completely ends the Friday show, which is playing what we just listened to, the full clip, and then ends the show that way. And it's like, you fucking bastard. Like, you participated in this, and now you're walking about like you're using it as well to sort of clear the name of the president, even though you're all fucking guilty in this. You're all guilty in it.
Yep, all in a day's work from Ezra.
Which brings us to a recent update that I didn't happen on his show, and my guess is he's never going to talk about it. And that's fine. We're going to talk about it. I'm going to suggest that people check out this article, because Jonathan Goldsby is pretty all right by me. He does a lot of good work. But this article is from November, and it says all of the rebels' ongoing lawsuits against the media that we know of. Because there could be more. Ezra brags about there being more, but whether or not there actually is more is up for debate. But there was a bunch. And so this was back in November. And 2 of the lawsuits that are listed in this article have since been rejected by the courts. They've been dismissed. And so those are the 2 specific cases that we're going to get into. And they're relevant to the Charlottesville shit as well. So the first is Al Jazeera. And so the article says, Rebel versus Al Jazeera. The plaintiff, Rebel News Network, represented by this person. Defendant, Al Jazeera, represented by these people. And it was filed November 2019. So this was during I think they had just started their election coverage around now, because the election was in August, wasn't it? August 2019. Do I have that right? Man.
Jesus, what is time?
That feels right?
The election.
Or no,
what?
maybe in Canada. So no, this is after the election.
Yeah, no.
So the election would have just been over, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it would have. I
think it was in October. My timelines are getting messed up here. Whoa. Hello, Cold Spider. Thanks for following. So content at issue. So this is what Ezra is mad about. He's mad at a September 2019 segment on the Listening Post, an Al Jazeera English series covering the media called The Right Perspective, YouTube, Radicalization, and Rebel Media, as well as an accompanying online article. And Jonathan points out that he was, in fact, interviewed for this piece. And here's the gist of the complaint. The Rebel took issue with passages suggesting it's a conduit for radicalization, and in particular with connections drawn between it and 3 specific acts of violence in which, the piece said, the men responsible watched the Rebel media and had become convinced Muslims were invading their countries. The Rebel, I want to pause there for a second. Rebel is now called Rebel News. It was ironic that when we first started our channel, I came up with Imperial News as our name because it was a pun on both Rebel and media. But then shortly after we came up with the name, and like several episodes into us doing the show, they changed it to Rebel News, which I don't know if that makes it better or worse, but I was like hoping for the double pun, and now it's just a single pun since we both share the ending of news. But back then when this lawsuit was filed, it was still the Rebel Media. The Rebel asserts that no evidence has ever been adduced to suggest that the perpetrator of the Quebec City mosque shooting had ever watched the Rebel, let alone been influenced to commit murder by it, and that in the case of a killing spree in Fredericton, New Brunswick, and an attack on the Finsbury Park Mosque in London, United Kingdom, there was no evidence the Rebel influenced the perpetrators to commit their crimes. Al Jazeera subsequently published a clarification noting that the 3 men in question watched Rebel News or the work of their regular contributors. The rebel also objected to a statement in the piece that said that the Ottawa police filed a criminal complaint alleging that the rebel breached a section of the Canadian Criminal Code by willfully promoting hatred of the Muslim community. In fact, as a subsequent note by Al Jazeera clarified, a criminal complaint had been made to the Ottawa police, but not by them. So that last bit is true. I believe it was the same. Oh, I can't remember his name. Warheim? Can't remember his name. He's a guy who's used to work for the human rights tribunals and has been going after Ezra for some time. But this was the gist of the complaint. And Al Jazeera responded by saying in a statement of defense, the Doha-based Al Jazeera contends that in at least 2 of the 3 instances, the perpetrators involved had viewed the rebel media shortly before the attacks. So those are the 3 incidents that they highlighted that Rebel is trying to back away from. So for those who don't know, for example, the Quebec mosque shooting, that person claimed to have watched people on Rebel's platform. And that in the third, the perpetrator had recently viewed commentary by Gavin McGuinness, whose responsibilities and associations at the time included his role as a marquee contributor to the Rebel. They stated that the suit is being pursued as part of an ongoing campaign by the plaintiff, including multiple legal proceedings against media publishers and journalists for the collateral purposes of silencing critics of Rebel News and Levant. So they filed an anti-SLAPP, or they complained that this was a SLAPP lawsuit. And so for people who don't know, a SLAPP lawsuit is a strategic lawsuit against public participation. And what that means is that someone like Ezra or Rebel might throw out a lawsuit at you to stop you from speaking, right? And the thing is, they could get away with it because if they have tons of money, they could just keep it going in the courts. And it also intimidates others, like, say, me, from starting a podcast about Rebel. Because if I start saying anything that might that Ezra or the Rebel might perceive as defamatory or libelous, they will come down hard and try to constantly throw these lawsuits at people. They've gotten away with it to some extent, but here's the fantastic thing. I mean, and here's the thing is, I will say they have gotten away with it in other jurisdictions as well, because I think the other one was either Saskatchewan or Alberta, and they don't have good SLAPP legislation if I have it all correct, but. Either way, I'm in Ontario, which is where this was filed, and thankfully we have some decent SLAPP regulation, and the court threw this out based on basically called it a SLAPP lawsuit and threw it out, which means that they thought that this was Ezra just throwing this lawsuit at them, and it wasn't based on any facts, and they just throw it out without having to litigate it further, right? Oh, yeah. Fair enough, Tony.
That's good then. That's good news for you and good news for cases they may have.
Right. I mean, because there's a sense in which if it's really, it could be intimidating to a lot of people if they could get away with just constantly filing lawsuits at people. And as Tony says, they do this, and he can't give details, but they have done this sort of stuff in the past. I will say, Little Bread also says that John Oliver has a good two-parter on SLAPP lawsuits as well. I think that SLAPP lawsuits, a lot of people are becoming more aware of it. I remember, I can't remember the name of the show. My brain's a little. Skeptic's Guide to the Universe. They had a huge SLAPP lawsuit, or they were trying to create legislation in many states in the United States. To get better SLAPP laws because they had chiropractors constantly suing their show for basically saying that chiropractic is full of shit. And
wow.
Yeah, and so they've succeeded in a few states from some of the lawsuits that have been thrown at them, but they're working with state representatives to try to put in place anti-SLAPP legislation to prevent people from doing this, basically. So it's good that I think the public is becoming more aware of this. I mean, it's not good that Ezra will continue to do these things, but here's another case. So we have the defendant, Levant v. the Narwhal. And it says, yes, this was Ezra Levant versus Brandon DeMille and the Narwhal News Society. Content at issue. An October 2019 post titled Right-Wing Attacks on Greta Thunberg, How Low Can They Go? Canada's extremist network, The Rebel, Tries for the Prize. And it was authored by DeMille, the executive director of the Seattle-based organization covering climate misinformation. The gist of the complaint. In writing about a confrontation between Bexley and activist Thunberg, DeMille offered background on the Rebel for a largely American audience. The original version of the post, later amended, described Levant as a disgraced neo-Nazi sympathizer and said the Rebel had provided laudatory coverage of the 2017 Unite the Right rally in Charlottesville. Levant and the Rebel argue that such claims are entirely untrue and that neither Rebel News nor Levant sympathize with neo-Nazis or publish neo-Nazi content or comments of any kind that sympathize with neo-Nazis. They dispute the idea that the Rebel had provided positive coverage of the rally, maintaining that then-correspondent Faith Goldie had gone to Charlottesville over Levant's objections and noting that he fired her several days later. The plaintiff also maintained that DeSmog, which is affiliated with Narwhal, is operated by the Narwhal, formerly known... Okay, they just said that. And so there was a response by the Narwhal. In a statement of defense filed in January, DeMille cited the Rebel having formally provided a platform for far-right figures such as Goldie, Lauren Southern, and Gavin McGinnis, and Levant's praise for Goldie as brilliant, beautiful, tough, hard-working, great journalist, even after firing her for appearing on a neo-Nazi podcast. And I have to say, like, just let that sink in. He says, we do not sympathize with neo-Nazis. Faith Goldie, while working at the Rebel, released a video called White Genocide, which was a white genocide, for those who don't know, that concept was created by a neo-Nazi, David Lane, who was a part of the Order, whose neo-Nazi group executed a Jewish radio broadcaster in the 1980s. He's the one who came up with the 14 words that everyone who's a neo-Nazi recites. Faith Goldie herself has recited the 14 words on other fucking podcasts. So, like, she was on his show as a correspondent. And now, whether or not he actually said, go cover this, or whether he objected to her going, okay, but then she went on a neo-Nazi podcast. And then when all of that is done, he still goes, brilliant, beautiful, tough, hardworking, great journalist. And yet he's trying to argue that he doesn't sympathize with neo-Nazis, as according to the article claims. When it's like, I don't know, you just said that this neo-Nazi was a brilliant, beautiful, tough, hardworking, great journalist.
Yeah. I don't know. What a guy.
He also explained that the Narwhal, which had evolved from the Canadian branch of DeSmog, was now an unrelated not-for-profit online magazine which had no involvement in the article in issue. In an email, Narwhal editor-in-chief Emma Gilchrist tells me that they have no business relationship with DeSmog and were named in the lawsuit erroneously. Okay? They also filed a anti-slap motion. And they also succeeded. So we have two cases where Ezra has gone after media companies and have failed due to anti-slap legislation. So the courts had found that these were strategic lawsuits against public participation. And, they could win some and lose some in these cases, but I think the more that Rebel loses these cases, the better for people like me. The better for people like Tony who cover this shit. Because, it counts as sort of precedent. The more the legal system starts to realize that, hey, this person who keeps on filing slap lawsuits that keep on getting thrown out of court, maybe, we should just also constantly keep throwing out slap lawsuits because he's engaged in a practice here. There's clearly a pattern of intent, right? And so, all I have to say to this, I guess, is cheers. Congratulations to the legal system in recognizing Ezra for the asshole that he is. think it's nice to just cover the wins when they happen. So and the other part of it is I don't think Ezra is going to cover this on his show at all. This is something he's going to probably avoid.
Come on, don't be ridiculous.
I was legitimately worried when I made fun of Bexley a few weeks ago about his home life. I still say, write Keanu a letter to his and telling him that, like, seriously, take his partner's advice to heart, and it's time to quit. It's time to settle down, find a new job, Keanu. Yeah. So that's that. I think I will, I guess, open up here. We're not going to watch it, but here's the Al Jazeera video. It's still up on YouTube. It's a decent video. I mean, there's some editing choices that I think are a little bit silly, but but the content's all right. You know, it's the typical stuff. I do like it has Michael Corrin in it. Michael Corrin is someone who used to be on like late at night all the time. I found when I was like growing up, and he was like very conservative on like TVO and shit like this. For those who are Canadian and know what TVO is. And then all of a sudden recently made like a hard turn and is now very socially left-wing, which is like cool thing. Michael Corrin, welcome to the moral side. Vienna was saying, you think a conservative man cares about his partner's option? I thought that AJ host was Anthony Bourdain. Yeah. Kinda.
Too soon.
For likeness comparisons?
Too soon. Just too soon. You gotta give it at least another 5 years.
At least. All right. And also, like, I have talked, so the other person in this is Caleb Kane, who is famous for saying that he used to watch Rebel content and then left. And I've been in chats with Caleb Kane. I might have him on. He right now is doing a project. I still want to look into it. So there's another person that we've talked about before on the show, which is I think it's Kaylin Robertson, but it's like it's spelt like Kaolin. So I've probably pronounced it wrong a ton of times. But Kaylin used to work for the Rebel. He worked in the UK branch and did a lot of shit with Tommy Robinson. And even like when he started, like he left the Rebel and he released that thing. There's like a clip that we play on our show all the time, which was like a mashup that Kaylin like created, showing every time that the Rebel tells you to sign a petition. So he was that person, left the Rebel on bad terms. Ezra, he claims that Ezra tried to blackmail him while he was leaving and all this fun stuff. So so as Robertson went on, he still worked with Lauren Southern and produced a lot of her like really shitty anti-immigration films that she's been making, but has like left even further and now claims that he's no longer a part of the right wing. And so he's working with Caleb on some sort of project about like deconverting people or something like this. And so at some point I might chat with Caleb. I'm a bit skeptical about this a little bit, but I don't know. I feel like this Kaylin Robertson person has been involved with this shit for too long. And the fact that he hung on for a very long time producing shitty content, I'm a little bit wary of his actual views. There's just something about it. Like, I don't know. I'm all for changing and people apologizing and learning and getting better. But I'm going to need more time. I need more time. So that's it. I'm going to chunk some of that to throw on the podcast. But we're going to move on to this lovely clip. This is, we're going to skip some of it because there's some really boring moments on this. I should go back to normal speed here. This is a video by Drea Humphreys. We're going back, so one of the first videos we ever did was with Drea Humphreys.
Back to our root.
This is her in British Columbia investigating one of these COVID hotels. So for those who don't remember, the Liberal government instituted this policy, which is for anyone who left the country for non-essential reasons, say going on vacation during a global pandemic, when you probably shouldn't be doing that. Upon return, you have to stay for 3 days at these hotels, and you have to pay for each night that you're there. And if you test positive, you have to stay even longer. Now,
that's just fascism.
Yeah. Well, basically,
that's straight up fascism in your country.
Yeah. And so Drea, obviously, so David Menzies has been doing this in Toronto, and I haven't been watching it because, I don't know, it's David Menzies walking up to hotel staff being like, what's going on inside your building, guys? And that's pretty much what we're going to get here. I was just kind of impressed with the production value of this, and that kind of annoys me. But also just the stupidity of the things that are said. So here we go.
Warning.
Censorship. Warning.
Censorship.
They are patently false, yet disinformation campaigns and conspiracy theories have become a fact of our lives these days, particularly in politics.
You know, there's a lot of things from early on with life with COVID-19 that if you spoke about them too soon, you were labeled a conspiracy theorist, not just by mainstream media, even by our Prime Minister, Justin Trudeau.
A young woman asked me about COVID internment camps, and I had to explain that as we consume increasing amounts and various sources of information online and around us, we need to continue to be attentive to source. We need to continue to be attentive to comparing various reports and looking for trusted sources.
Canadians have been being detained against their will, and lots of times they're healthy Canadians, in the name of COVID-19. Today, I'm standing in front of Pacific Gateway Hotel in Richmond, BC, because a little tipster told us that this may in fact be a COVID jail. And so we're going to check that out in the Vancouver area and see if it's true.
So can I just make 2 comments real quick?
Yeah.
First of all, that music slaps. I don't know what that is. That sounds like some background music to a video game I want to play. Second of all, I love like the little post edit add-in of like in British BC that's clearly like recorded differently. I've had to do it too, Dre. I'm with you. I get it.
I was gonna comment on like how the production value has increased, but when I first watched this, I didn't catch the like auditory shift between like the correction of Richmond, BC, and hey, famous horse. Yeah, I mean, look at like their framing too, like what the journalist was saying, and then what Justin Trudeau was saying was that people talking about some like these COVID internment camps. Right? So there's one thing saying COVID internment camps are not real. And there's another thing saying we have hotels set up to quarantine people who traveled outside of the country against government regulations, you know? Like there's 2 different things here. I think mostly like internment camps are usually places that they don't have a 3-day time period. But I don't know. Maybe that's just me. But I do want to say I've been speaking out about this for the last few times that we've watched, that they keep on like going through these lawsuits, these constitutional fights. They're fighting the fines, and now they're hiring, and it's like, where are they getting all this money? And now it's like the production value on their videos are getting better, and so I'm just like, where is Drea getting this money? Like something's going on.
I'm not sure, but I hope in the upcoming Steven Spielberg produced documentary of these internment camps, they bring back Liam Neeson to play Oscar Schindler.
Oh, Jesus. No, haven't we canceled Liam Neeson?
No, he got. I vote we bring Liam back. He gets one. Right. He gets one racist.
He gets a mulligan.
Dude, he was Qui-Gon. He was Oscar Schindler. Like, he gets one.
All right, here he goes.
Drea Humphrey here with Rebel News. We've been bringing you the other side of
snow
the story of
ambiance,
life with
too.
COVID-19 since as early as January 2020, and that includes the discussion of mandatory quarantine facilities. Now, my colleague Kean Bexty, he showed you what happened to Nikki Mathis. She was terrified. She was taken against her will and stuck in a COVID jail without her family even knowing where she was going.
Jail.
We, with your help by the people who donate at nocovidjails.com, had a free fighter lawyer on that case who was there giving her free legal counsel. We had that done as fast as you could say there's a new COVID-19 variant. But in Vancouver, BC, we haven't heard a lot of the stories. David Menzies as well has brought us tons from Toronto, at the Radisson in particular. So much to the point that the police ended up at his house.
Hello, sir. How you doing, officer?
I have a summons here for you for court.
Okay.
For enter premises when entry prohibited.
I will say, so Tony said in the chat, the government forced me to stay in a 4-star hotel. I'm oppressed. And there's like, I think we chatted about this last time, which is that it would be, I think like forcing them to pay for it could be something that would be like, could be oppressive. But here's the thing is the people who are having to stay at these hotels are people who in the middle of a global pandemic have decided to go on like out of country trips. Traveling outside the country. So like affording flights and all this nonsense to go on a vacation. So it's like if you could afford your vacation, now the government's saying, look, if you want to go for your vacation, sure, but this means that you now have to pay for 3 extra hotel days in a quarantine facility. So long as you test negative, and if you test positive, you have to stay even longer and continue to pay for it. I think Liam Neeson should have to fight real wolves with glass and fists, and after that, he is forgiven. Liam Neeson has to stay 3 days in a COVID jail.
But in Vancouver, BC, overall it's been pretty quiet. But a tipster did reach out to us and say that he was forced to stay here for quite some time, and he didn't want to come forward with his name. So we're going to investigate to see if, in fact, this is a quarantine hotel. And why not start with giving them a call?
I do. There's like the language that they used to, like, I was forced to stay here. Now, I am an anti-prison person. I think that eventually, in my utopia, abolishing prisons, great idea, thumbs up. I wrote a master's thesis to that effect. That being said, this person, Drea, and the Rebel generally, are probably not anti-prison, and are probably like, when you say like a drug dealer was forced to stay in a prison, they would be like, I'm okay with that. But what they're upset about is a law mandating that someone who illegally leaves the country during a global pandemic against like the mandated rules, then that person is having their civil rights taken from them to some extent. Even though they haven't won a single case like this in the courts or none of that. They're just claiming that it's unconstitutional and that it's forced and it's evil. What it's like, but if the COVID-19 is real and is an actual threat, then it's just the slippery language that they use. They're forced. They're being forced against their will. And it's like, well, no one told you that you could just leave the country and go on vacation. You made that choice.
Not even slippery language, though, is it? Like, it's so absurd on its face. I mean, she's calling guest services of this hotel. That's who's like, I'm going to give them a call. You can't.
He's an investigative journalist.
You can't just call someone in prison. You have to like go through this whole. You have to like call collect, and they have to accept the charges and all this. She's going to call guest services. This person's going to be hanging out in their hotel room watching, I don't know, HBO Max or something. Be like, yeah, it sucks. I'm in this $300 a night hotel for the next 3 days. I don't know what I'm going to do with myself. Like, are you kidding me?
See,
this isn't.
That's what you would think, though. But it's deeper than that. It's deeper than that. You ready? I don't even think you're ready for this.
Unless they're making
Anna, what's the best price for 2 rooms there?
Sorry, is this for tonight?
Yes, please.
Oh, unfortunately, we are closed until May 15th.
You're closed until May?
Yeah.
Oh, how come?
We've been closed since March, actually.
Oh my goodness, that's a long time.
Yeah.
How are you guys staying in business?
Well, not much staff are currently working right now, so...
Okay, so you're open, you're answering the phone, but you guys are closed till
May, yeah.
Oh.
I know there's also a few other hotels around the area, too, that are closed. River Rock and Hilton, I believe.
Okay. All right, thanks so much.
Okay, no worries.
Bye.
Oh my god. This goes deeper than I could have ever imagined.
So, what did we learn from this call? We learned that not only has this hotel been closed since March, almost a year ago, and the reopening coming up in May. We also learned that other hotels down the street also happen to be closed.
But how are the COVID people there?
So...
Oh no. What is Trudeau doing?
I called Millhaven Institution for a room price, but they wouldn't tell me. Yeah. That's the deeper news. They didn't even tell her what the room price would have been. Holy shit. So let's see. So that's the information she got. Let's see where she goes with it.
Well, they said they're closed till May 15th, but there's a lot of vehicles in the parking lot. Let's take a look and see if they're closed, why there's so many people here.
Look at this production value. Like, holy shit. This feels like a...
We got some open doors over here.
A Paul Thomas Anderson
looks like
music
a white
video.
tarp inside.
Like, dude, they have professional editors now? Like, what the hell is this?
All right, so we've got the kitchen and bar will remain closed until further notice due to the COVID-19 pandemic. So in BC, restaurants are allowed to be open. So it's not like they were ordered to shut there. So let's see.
Just walking shots constantly.
So it says caution, construction in progress, but we know if you've watched some of David Menzies' reports, he was told that the hotel was closed, the one out there, because it was under construction, and that was a lie.
How you doing there?
Did they have the name of the music video in the description? It reminds me of what's Daydreaming by Radiohead. Dreamers. And like the video has like Tom York just walking and opening doors, and each door opens into another door, and it's like the music is even like it's that kind of like dream pop like ambience like thing going on. Obviously Radiohead's music is a lot better than the music they have here, but the music they have here, like, it's not bad music, and like again, compare it to the quality of like David, right? So like we have this like dark moody ambiance, and like the walking with the music, like it's cut very well. And then we're gonna see like David at the other hotel, and it's like shitty footage entirely. But again, I love
it. I would say David's videos have a different quality to them that I personally.
But it's the other thing is like, so she sees it says under construction, so she's like, ooh, this is like clearly the government. At each one of these institutions where they're housing people, they just put up like under construction, and it's to throw us off. It's like all a conspiracy.
The one out there because it was under construction, and that was a lie.
How you doing there? We're just with Rebel News. My name's David Menzies, and
like it's blurry,
just gonna see if we could get a room for the night.
No, sorry.
No?
No, whole place is
wobbly,
closed.
like
Who
the
are
other
you, by the
camera
way?
must
I'm the
have
security
like one of
manager,
those like
Jamie.
stabilizers.
Oh, okay. Jamie, so why is it closed?
It's closed for construction.
Why the secrecy? I think we would all feel more comfortable with how our taxpayer dollars are being spent if we weren't lied to about where these facilities are.
It's like a.
Okay, so there's an emergency
like a short
response entrance for the construction workers, I suppose. Here, there's no way to get into the main entrance here.
Yo, bots are entering. My thing here.
I don't think we're gonna have much luck in the conference rooms. Well, let's have a look here. So they're definitely not closed. There's people inside.
Like
There's
this
a ton of
groundbreaking
vehicles in the
journalism.
car. I mean,
I'm gonna
there's
test
a ton
all
of
the doors.
vehicles in the parking lot. It's definitely not closed. I think our tipster was right. I'm gonna show you a quick little clip. I think he was a little nervous.
Notice, like, this is all based on a tip. So what I hope is there actually isn't, like, there really is construction going on. And they're just like, who is this asshole walking outside of the building? Jesus. Rebel News is my most trusted source of news. Isn't it everyone's trusted source of news? This is clearly the most legitimate news I've ever watched.
Everyone on this podcast.
Yeah. Yeah, they got better cameras so they don't have to use stock photos anymore. I totally, like, I blanked out. I forgot all their old content and their constant use of stock photos. It's completely missing from this. We now have real editors on the scene. What the hell's happening? Where are they getting this money? We should start giving the Rebel fake tips since they just followed. Yes, yeah, but if we could do that, we could just fake them into being left wing. Wouldn't that be fun? That'd be fun.
To be filming, but this is what the inside of his his room here looked like.
This is the tip they received.
Excuse me?
Like, that was it. Wouldn't be complete without Rebel employees stalking random people.
There's a doorbell over here, though. Hi, are you quarantining here, or? Oh, you're closed, but there's people in there. Is this a quarantine facility, or? Okay, well, I'm Drea Humphrey with Rebel News. Is there someone I can ask some questions to for the people? No? It's pretty busy in there, I think, right? Hi there, Drea Humphrey with Rebel News. Yeah, you know, I see that it's closed for us to walk in, but it doesn't look closed in general. Is this...
You know, this is the real journalism.
Oh, no media, but is this a quarantine facility paid by taxpayer dollars?
Did you make an appointment?
No, I just thought, number one, I thought it was a hotel, so usually you can walk up to a hotel.
No,
Okay,
I'm not
but then
media.
is it something that taxpayers are paying for, or no? You're grabbing the manager for me to ask the questions to?
This is the best video content. It's like a staring contest. Oh yeah, who's gonna break first? Oh yeah. Fill that dead space.
Just answering questions just makes everything go away faster. Is he coming out?
Isn't that a threat? Is that a threat? Just answering
makes
questions
everything go away faster.
makes everything go away faster. I will stop harassing you if you just answer my questions. Oh my god. Dead air is very unprofessional. Oh, it's an artistic decision though. Like, normally they wouldn't have dead air, or they could have put like music there. Like, there's something about it that feels like an indie film. Like, I feel like this would be like a short film of some kind. I don't know. It's wonderful. There's an element, I feel like the novelty of it has gotten to me more than the actual content. I'm so used to their shitty production value.
He coming out? He or she? Okay, thank you. We just keep getting told this place is closed, but it's clearly open for something. We'll keep digging, we'll keep getting answers. But for now, there are people who are scared in Canada about whether or not they're going to make it home. Maybe they went to a funeral. Maybe they went to see a spouse who works in a different country. And now they're worried about being stuck and detained like a criminal, whether they're positive or negative, in some type of federal quarantine COVID jail. And if you think those people...
There's processes to go through if you are going to a funeral or something like that.
What the fuck is wrong with these people? Like, I'm sorry, I know you were going to say something important, but what the fuck is wrong with you people? I wish I could say, like, we've been doing this for a year, right? We've been following Drea for a year, right?
No, it hasn't been a year. It's been since October. It's
been close enough to a year for me. Jesus. But, like, we've been following them for so long, and they've been doing this since day one of, like, oh, what this nefarious thing about COVID isn't even real, is even that bad. And it's like people are dying, and you are still trying to, like, shill this conspiracy theory nonsense. We're trying to, like, keep people isolated who might have the disease and then spread it to your fellow countrymen. And you're turning it into this big thing. They traveled across countries and they can't spend 3 more days in a hotel? Like, really? Really? Really, Drea?
Yeah.
Trying to keep people alive, for fuck's sake.
I confused what you were saying. Yes, the pandemic has been with us for a year. We've been doing live Twitch streams since October. And I think that's around when Drea got hired as well. So, but yeah, it's the fact of, like, they clearly don't take the pandemic seriously. Like, none of their content would make sense in a context where they actually thought that the virus was serious, right? Because then you could actually have a discussion about, like, well, is this going to help prevent the spread, right? Like, we could then have a discussion about the practical effects of a policy like this. But they're just like, the thing isn't real anyway, so these people are being forced against their will. And look, they won't even tell us. There's all these signs hinting to things, and what do they mean? Like, oh, the building's under construction, but is it under construction? This also says emergency people this way. Do they mean, like, for the COVID emergency, or is it for the construction? What is it? I don't know.
Asking the important questions.
And they've gotten nowhere. Like, they've made this video, and it's like her just walking around a fucking hotel. They haven't found one. Like, you would think that if this was actually a COVID facility where they were housing these people, would there not be more security around this thing? Because even Kian in his, like, earlier videos talked about how there was a specific security company that's to guard these facilities, was written in the legislation. Where are they? They're nowhere in this footage, so this leaves me to believe that there's actually no one in this building. that it really is under construction. And all of this is just nonsense. I don't know, Tony is saying it's like low-rent Alex Jones, but I don't know if you've seen Alex Jones lately. If anything, like, this is almost better than some of Alex Jones' quality stuff. Alex Jones still has, like, a level of hokiness to it in the production. I mean, there's hokiness to this, but, like, I feel like the editing in this is, like, starting to get, like, a little bit more... it's not even professional, because, like, I don't even think professional journalism would, like, edit the footage like this. It's more of, like, it literally feels like they're making a short film rather than, like, an actual piece of journalism.
People deserve legal counsel. No matter what their budget is, you can help us at nocovidjail.com.
Like,
whatever you donate
like,
there goes to the legal team we have helping these people get counsel, get advice, and their families keep in touch with them. Now, clearly, we are not going to get the answers we deserve at that hotel. So we did head over to the airport to have a look. Is anybody getting grabbed or snatched and taken over to the hotel? There was no international flights coming in at the time. We did come across sort of a restricted to public area there that was all boarded off in white. Looked like possibly some sort of testing zone.
So like here's I love this too. They're at the airport and she's just like naming things she sees at the airport. This could possibly be where they scan people, but look how fucking empty this airport is too. Which is that most people go, maybe this isn't the right time to travel.
I think what I find most maybe amusing about how much you love this video is like it's almost like we're realizing that they're grifters again, you know? Like they've come up with this huge production, like they're making these little mini documentaries and they're doing basically nothing and spreading their narrative. And before, at least, it was like, oh, like they're pretending to be a news organization. Now it's like they're going full Project Veritas, just making shit up.
But it's not even like there's like an element in like making shit up, but like this video in particular is so like devoid of content. Like I think that's what drew me to it, to like show today. It was like I was surprised, like because usually they'll make some sort of connection. Like the first videos we had by her where she was trying to link Black Lives Matter to witchcraft. Like there was like quasi arguments being made that you can deconstruct and show why they're like stupid. But here is just like, look at what's happening in this airport. You did it. You figured it out. Yeah, Tony said it's like the FEMA camp videos where he would show up at facilities and the employees would be like, what the hell? I'm actually surprised right now that Alex Jones isn't freaking out about FEMA being mobilized to help Texas right now, considering that his own city has been out of power for several days. So. I don't know. They're never consistent, so. I don't know how much... Oh, yeah, fuck, we're getting to the worst/best part is, like, Drea's going to harass two people just sitting in their car. Well, I say harass. They're very friendly to her, and anyways. It's still the point of, like, just going up to two randoms on the street.
Maybe that's where the action happens. I'm not sure. We'll have to keep following this. But in the parking lot on the way out, we ran into some Vancouverites who were very opinionated, and this is what they had to say.
Yeah, running into them sounds like a very charitable way to define it.
I think that's kind of accurate when you see what happens. But, like, imagine just being like, I am a legitimate news person, and all I did was bump into two random people in a parking lot. Let's hear what they have to say. They're not involved in anything, and I'm just going to tell them things, and they're going to respond to me. This is news.
The hotel over there, and we were just trying to investigate because we heard it was one of the mandatory quarantine facilities. Have you heard of those yet?
No, we don't.
No, so basically what's...
So right off the bat, she asks him a question about a subject, and his response is, no, I don't know anything about the subject you're about to talk to me about. Which, if anything, is beneficial to Drea, because then she knows, like, haha, I can completely make up stuff, and it doesn't matter. So off to a great start.
What's happening is some of the people who are coming back to Canada from international flights, they're being forced, in some cases against their will, to go to a federal hotel kind of...
3 days?
Yeah, it could be 3 days, but we're getting reports of even longer. But for the 3 days, sometimes it's people who tested negative. So what do you think of that?
I don't think so. They cost every night for $3,000.
Yeah, I heard $2,000.
$3,000 for 3 days.
Exactly. The site says that you're responsible for paying for cleaning, you're responsible for the food.
Clearly it says it. For travelers, we strongly advise Canadians to cancel or postpone non-essential travel plans outside of Canada. Now is not the time to travel. People who travel by air for non-essential reasons, such as a vacation, will face new measures and expenses when they return to Canada. So notice how earlier when she was talking about, like, people have to go to funerals or this and that. This is for people who are going on vacation. Travelers must still provide proof of a negative COVID-19 molecular test taken within 72 hours before their scheduled departure time. In the near future, travelers will also be required to take a COVID-19 molecular test on arrival in Canada, stay in a hotel for 3 nights while they await the results of the COVID-19 molecular test they received on arrival, pay for their hotel, as well as all associated costs for food, cleaning, and security. Travelers will still be required to complete a mandatory 14-day quarantine. All hotels will be located near one of the 4 Canadian airports currently accepting international flights: Vancouver, Calgary, Toronto, Montreal. A full list of hotels will be available shortly. Now, notice as well that she's like, they even came up negative and they still have them stay in the hotel. That's because the negative, the tests can give out false negatives. They're less likely to give false positives, but they can give false negatives. And what that means is you could have the virus, but you could have caught it more recently than when you've taken the test, such that you haven't built enough viral load in your system such that the test would find it. That happens. So the 3-day grace period is to go, maybe when we took the test, you hadn't built up enough viral load, so we're going to keep you here for 3 days and hope that you remain negative. That's kind of the theorizing behind it. But they make it sound like, oh, they're completely healthy if you get a negative test. It's all bullshit. I mean, they're the same people who argue that these tests are always wrong and all this other stuff. But here they're using it to tell people, oh, don't worry. Jody, check Discord. Maybe I will check Discord. My guess, are you sending it to me? Oh, I can't read your writing because my screen thing is blocking it here. 1 second. Rates of the hall, shared a hotel to the hotel's name. So they're $300 a night. Okay. At the Calgary Airport Marriott, the 3-day quarantine stay for one person cost $1,200. So the total stay for the 3 days was a total of $1,200. Sounds about right. So they're exaggerating the costs of the trips. That's nice. That's nice. And they make it sound like $3,000 for 3 days. Nope. Apparently not.
Food there, things like that. But we're getting reports that you have no choice over what food you eat, and also that the cleaning isn't on par in some of the places in Toronto as well. Quite disgusting. So does it concern you at all that our government has been so secretive about these places?
We don't even get to choose our food, and they weren't as clean, and and then the leading question.
I like that juxtaposed against the video of the person in the hazmat suit cleaning the room. It's not clean as the hazmat person literally cleans my room as I lay in bed doing nothing.
I want to catch the leading question again.
As well, quite disgusting. So does it concern you at all that our government has been so secretive about these places?
Does it concern you that our government has been so secretive about these places? Are they being secretive about these places? I'm pretty sure that Justin Trudeau made a national announcement to the public that this is happening, and that the thing that they showed on the screen was, for travelers, here's what'll happen to you if you travel for non-essential reason. What's the secret? The fact that she walked up to a hotel and the staff would not respond to her? Even if that hotel is one that is quarantining people? Oh my god.
Yes, of course. There's no reason why the people are paying this kind of money. They're coming to here, to most of the, especially for the students. It's very hard. Who can afford those kind of money, and they're doing everything? Just they're providing the room only the shelter, nothing to eat, no cleaning there. So it's not fair for the visitors coming over to Canada.
Not fair for the students coming over to Canada. So do you think this person fully understands what's being asked of him? Because this is not happening to students.
No, it's not happening to students.
I mean, a student could go on vacation, and they will have to stay in this thing. What do you want, Snow? My cat's saying hi in case you hear the meowing. But I'm pretty sure she just goes on from this and doesn't acknowledge the fact that he did not understand her question.
And what about the fact that they're testing negative. It might not be the test that is used in Canada, but they get a negative test, and then they're forced to go to a place where there's more likely to be people with COVID-19 instead of their own home to quarantine. Do you have any concerns about that?
Yeah, that doesn't make sense. If they got the results, they got the test is already negative, what is the reason they have to stay there then? Right? After the results come, they should release them to go there your normal place. That doesn't make sense.
Right, and
so, I mean, I'm pretty sure the facility is set up to try to, like, lower transmission rates. I mean, like hospitals. You know, it's not like when you go to the hospital or you go to the testing site, any testing site, there's going to be people around, and I'm sure they have measures in place to try to, like, prevent these things. Like, I don't know, here's a good idea. How about, like, wearing masks, which is, like, none of the 3 people in this fucking shot are wearing masks. And Drea's just, like, leaning in this fucking car and, like, almost, like, making out with the dude right here in the driver's seat while conducting this friggin' interview with 2 people who are completely clueless to what is happening, and that she just happened to stumble upon it in a fucking parking lot. My God.
Lastly,
she's doing the interviews, no one else will.
I'll tell you what, Global News didn't get this interview.
That's damn right.
Months ago, there was a politician who asked about this. He asked,
I asked this government if the people of Ontario should prepare for internment camps. In September, the federal government posted a call for expressions of interest for contractors to supply, provide, and manage quarantine isolation camps throughout every province and every territory in Canada.
He was laughed at in part.
He was laughed at because it didn't call for camps. What it said was that what he's specifically addressing in that clip, we've covered many times on this, was about mandating certain facilities to house, like, to be stores, to house things like vaccines or masks or other PPE stuff, personal protective equipment. That's all that letter was about. And they spun it as like, oh, this is evidence of creating, like, COVID camps. Now it went from COVID camps to now these are, like, COVID jails, but they're hotels. I mean, they keep on, like, moving this conspiracy around. But it's, again, Justin Trudeau has been quite open. Say what you will about Justin Trudeau and all the problems that he has. When it's come to this specific policy, he has been quite open about it. Like, I knew about it long before they even started mentioning it on their fucking show. Like, it was public knowledge. Hilliard gets sillier. Yes. He got kicked out of the Progressive Conservative Party for being a little too special for them.
Parliament, and later on Justin Trudeau came out and said it was conspiracy theory talks. But here it is happening in Canada and Vancouver, BC.
Okay, the people, I will say that the people live their own space, they are more comfortable. Rather than they going in the hotel, they don't get the same atmosphere, like they go their home or they can rent the place, their own is way cheaper, maybe 10 times cheaper than the hotel. You can get maybe $100 a day, $50 a day. You can get the room. Is lots of people holding the houses, they're doing the basement or they're renting the rooms is very cheap. Right. And they feel more comfortable. They can look at outside. They can walk in the yard or whatever, you know. Exercise, anything. When you go in those hotels, what they gonna do there?
This is all we want to know. What's going on? That's all.
That's not fair. We are totally against it.
Like he just come back for India about a couple of months ago.
Yeah.
He stayed for 14 days for home.
Yes, for me, it's like a jail.
That's what we call it, COVID jails, and we're not a fan of it.
Somebody is positive.
Yeah.
They be pay maybe $20,000 for who for it? Nobody, I guess.
Exactly.
We live here in Canada last 34 years. We have a homes.
Yeah.
And lots of people is positive. They told them to stay 14 days home. Yeah, I think this is not a good idea.
Yes.
So, I mean, there's a part of what they're saying is like, we'll just let the people quarantine in their homes for 14 days. And this person left the country. I don't know if it was essential or not essential or whatever. But then it's like, yes, you're required to quarantine after you come out of this facility. The reason why they're holding you there is because you left. For one, You left when you shouldn't have left. And so the government is thinking, you're probably not someone I can trust to stay in your house while being positive. My guess is that is the justification for this policy. Because if you're someone who just goes, I'm going to go on a travel trip here, whoop, during a global pandemic, even though you've been constantly told not to do it, then I'm sure the government is going, I don't know if I can trust you to stay in your house for 14 days.
Well, Jody, let's try this, right? Let's think through this. Let's say, right, you tell one of your children to stay in their room, right? You tell them repeatedly they have to stay in there, right? And you know, they leave. They get out, they leave, they go to the kitchen, they find the cookie jar, and they take it with them. They sit on the couch, they play Minecraft, and they eat all your fucking food. So what happens after that? You tell them they have to go back to their room. Do you just sort of let them be and assume they'll do it? Or do you maybe watch them a little bit?
Well, granted, you would watch them a little bit, but like toddlers are a little different because they barely understand reason. And simply, listen, I'll tell you, I've learned in my long lifetime as a father that even punishment never works. Even the whole stay in your room thing, it might feel good in the moment to like go to your room, but then you're just like, he's not learning anything. He's not.
So your opinion is that Justin Trudeau should just let him do it. Just say screw it. They left.
No, I'm just saying that most toddlers are not leaving the country.
Well, that's who. Well, let's be real. That's who we're dealing with. We're dealing with the mentality of toddlers who just want things they want, right? Like they're not displaying the high level cognition of how are my behaviors going to impact other people. So what do we do about these people? Do we send them to their room? Do we bend them over and spank them? Like, what's the right call here?
Well, that's the analogy you're making that makes sense, right? Which is that like, if there was like an immediate thing, like I really need to make sure that my child is not going to do something like, I don't know, go eat all the cookies or something, then yes, I would find a way to maintain. I know that he can't reason here, so I'm going to maintain a process that's going to prevent him from accessing these cookies, right? And if that means I have to sit in front of the door and make sure he doesn't leave, then that's what it is, you know. But I will tell you, it is amazing how this like interview thing ends, and it happens so quick. I want to see if anyone sees how wonderful this is, and I wonder why they cut it so fast too. I'm just so curious. Okay, you ready?
Thank you guys so much. Thanks. Have a good day.
I love this dude so much. All right, global pandemic, but he's just like
so much. Thanks.
Here, have a donut. I mean, you've been breathing on us for the past few minutes. Take a Timbit. And I would, they cut it. Like, wouldn't it be great if Drea was just like, I will have that donut, and that would have been like some camaraderie moment. But my guess is they cut it out because she's probably like, no, I don't. No. It's like, wow.
No COVID. No, that's okay. I don't actually want that.
Yeah, poor people. So here's the thing. Oh, Canada. Toddlers understand reason about as well as anti-maskers. Anti-maskers. Correct. So I'm about done. My brain is completely fried. But we have one more video. That's right.
No.
Oh,
no.
The return of Ben Bankas.
Do it.
We're going to the Bankas.
Fucking damn it. Fuck me. Fuck me. Are you kidding me?
No. It's called Justin Trudeau finally provides some transparency, and I have no clue what's gonna happen, but we're gonna put it in the Bankas.
All right. I'll mute up. But I don't like this. I want you to know now I don't like this.
Do you think I like it? This is just
I do think you like it. I do think
this is what
it's a weird.
I'm joining this
just
because of Ben Banker.
See
the gang's all here.
Listen,
all right.
The Bankas brings all fellas to the yard.
Take it to the Bankas, Jody.
Okay, here it goes. Again, we're gonna watch it all in one fell swoop, take it all in, and I have no clue how this is gonna happen or what is gonna happen, but we're gonna watch it. All right, here it goes.
I have an idea.
Good luck, everyone.
You're bad.
Warning, censorship. Warning, censorship.
Before we get started, I want to apologize for my small gaffe the other day in Parliament.
I vote for the motion.
Mr. Trudeau, for poor.
Mr. Turnbull. My daily mixture of amphetamines and maple syrup was kicking in. A lot has changed in a year, and as your Prime Minister King, I wanted to explain the current laws so we can be completely transparent. You can't go outside, but businesses are reopening. You should get the vaccine immediately, but there are none available. There are 15 new strains of the virus, and not a single one has killed a Canadian yet. CBC and CTV are completely biased in my favor, but I have your best interests at heart. Turns out COVID was created in a lab, but relations with China have never been better. Genocide is a loaded term.
And that's why it's a word that is...
And so is freedom, which is why we don't have it right now. Freedom is overrated. I have given you Netflix and chill for the rest of your life. We are resetting the economy, but the Great Reset is a dangerous conspiracy theory.
Conspiracy theories?
We are not building internment camps. We are simply re-outfitting all Radisson hotels into medical isolation sites. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have Parliament in an hour, so I'm going to go get really baked. Thank you.
Well, before you say anything, Jody, you know, you got to be able to recognize art for what it is. And art is subjective. And even the best of us, like even the best baseball players, fail 2 out of 3 times. And I got to be honest, I think this was one of those 2 times.
All right, Dr. Dickhead, since art is subjective, how much money exactly would you pay for Ben Bankas to shit on a piece of canvas and sell it to you? Just how much, really?
It depends on whether or not I could get a camera and editing crew out to film it so I could sell that footage. Because I'm sure that, I don't know.
This was watched 9,000 times.
That's sad.
Like, what is
What's sad
happening
is it has
in reality?
1.2k likes.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. That's
The first comment is, "This is just fantastic and true." Like this, like there wasn't even jokes in this. There was no punchlines. It was just like, I'm Trudeau and I'm reading things, and like they edited it so poorly. Like there was moments where his whatever the fuck he did to his head was not matching the words coming out of his mouth.
Is he trying to do like a deep fake?
Yes.
Well, he succeeded. He deep faked the fact that he has any kind of talent or comedic.
But that's the thing is like, I feel like he's pulling the wool over Ezra somehow. I can't imagine that they're all, unless Ezra's in on it too, and he's like, I don't know. It's just I have this person who says they're a comedian, and they just say things, and then 9,000 people in my audience watch it. And here's the thing is, this was released today. So those 9,000 views are just from today.
Is it like a tax write-off to hire a comedian who isn't funny?
Yeah.
Is that a thing in Canada? Like, is it like when you lose money in the stock market in the U.S., you can claim that as like negative income, and does it lower his tax liability or something?
I don't know.
Ben Bankas was actually sent by a charity and his salary is actually just donations to that charity, not direct payment.
I will say this: YouTube does have a functionality where you can loop videos. So as soon as they end, they start again, and you can start that up. You can minimize your browser and go about your day and rack up them views. So Ben, if that's what you're doing, I'm not saying it is what you're doing, but good on you for gaming the system, for watching your own video 5,000 times at least.
I remember when Canada was still a country. LOL, depressingly accurate. He thinks he's cool, which makes it even worse.
I like the joke in there about how they're not building internment camps, just medical isolation units. And it was like, yeah, that's a good way of putting it. That's actually real good. Like,
here's the truth.
Do you think those are the same things? Do you think? Do you? Wait, Ben, do you?
I was really annoyed when Ben Bankas said in his Trudeau Sona something about like being completely transparent, and then like didn't do a ghost or transparency joke there.
Again, there was no jokes in this. This was like, you know how we've commented before on the past bits, which is like, there's like moments where there are jokes, but sometimes the punchline is always just like conservative talking point. But this literally was just like conservative talking point, conservative talking point, conservative talking point. Like that's all this was.
Well,
and like
Jody,
the joke was just like, here's everything we say Trudeau. Oh my God! Like this is blowing my mind. This is everything they think Trudeau is actually saying, and yet they had to jokingly put those words into Trudeau's mouth.
Jody, I think it might. I think you're right that it's partly that, but I also think it's largely that when he was putting so much effort into that weird faux British accent and high falsetto, well, not falsetto, but this weird high pitched voice, neither of which Trudeau has.
No.
He couldn't focus on making actual jokes. He was putting too much effort into his craft.
But you would think if Trudeau was actually saying these things, like this wouldn't be funny. Like, the whole thing is just so stupid. They're stupid. Conservatives are stupid. I'm just going to say.
Don't take my words. I already said that. Actually, no, don't. Yeah, no, you said it, not me. I didn't say that. It can never come back to me. I never said that. But, like, it's just boomer humor, isn't it? Like, it is so just, like, 50-year-old boomer humor the whole way. Like, look at that. Trudeau is a fool. Spelled True Doe.
Trudeau.
Trudeau is a fool. Like, that's some fucking boomer, not even funny humor. Like,
the devil comes in many forms, a master of disguises. Part-time drama teachers seem to be chosen disguise as of late. Has comedy ever been so horrifyingly true? Bill Gates. No, here I gotta read this one. Bill Gates, George Soros, Henry Kissinger, Klaus Schwab, and Xi Jinping heard giggling from behind the Davos Iron Curtain. That's just a comment.
Everybody on these comments should be on a list.
They're on Trudeau's list. Yeah, no, read more. No, I want to see that one.
Oh, for fuck's sakes, that's a good one. Made me laugh, and JT looks like more of a goof from the first time I laid eyes on him. Now I'm gonna have nightmares tonight. Ha 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 ha.
Not nightmares, nightmares. Like
Yes.
night horses. No, click great lights, read more. I want to know what his acronym is.
Oh, God. Oh, it's just laugh my face off. LMFO, and then he spaced it out. Laugh my face off.
I get it, because the deep fake. That's good. These comments are funnier than the Ben Bankas video. Holy shit, let's go.
Can we not trade this jerk off for our two Michaels, okay? There's two Michaels that are currently Canadian citizens that are in Chinese prison.
Only two?
I wonder if that comment...
Only two named Michael.
What was that, Ken?
I was saying, is that comment? I'm sure that commenter is referring to Trudeau, but maybe he's just referring to Bankas.
Yeah, I'll trade Bankas.
Yeah.
He is off his meds. This guy needs a straitjacket ASAP. Like, again, all these comments could be read as, like, referring to Bankas and not the... I laughed before I started to cry. Oh, Canada. I mean, that's another common theme about a lot of these, like, responses. It's always like, it's so funny yet depressing because it's true. And it's like, nothing was true here.
Is it? Is it true?
He is the most well-trained, dangerous psychopath to be still free in this country. Who is he? Hint. He legalized his drug problems.
Wow.
How stoned are you when you are too phone to stone home?
True.
Yeah, I see no issues with that comment.
The answer to COVID 1984 is 1776. Alex Jones. Oh god, the commenters are quoting Alex Jones. Okay.
Paragon of wisdom, Alex Jones, to you, Jody.
Don't worry, guys. He just announced he's going to pay everybody to be home arrest another half of year. Obviously with debt for taxpayer monies. Okay. The PM who flew over the cuckoo's nest. Does he ever tell the truth? Ever? He reminds me of my teenagers. They tell me what I want to hear and go do what they were going to do. ...
Let's see those replies.
At Pamela, the truth is here. Please watch and share. Scotty Mar 10 YouTube short video messages with a soundtrack. Justice is coming for the world, Jesus Christ. Then this person says, you will survive the teenage years, Pamela. I didn't think I would, but I did. Oh, all right. Oh, no, there's more.
Oh, there's so many.
There's so many
Yeah.
comments. Holy shit.
Church services need to be held at Costco or Walmart. Churches are closed, but big box stores are open for prayers. Okay.
What?
Actually, I
What?
agree with that one. That one's pretty good.
Yeah.
What? What's the joke? I don't understand. Explain this to me.
It's a joke.
So, certain church services are not allowed because they're not deemed essential services. Because, like, you can hold church services without all cramming into a room, right?
Yeah.
But then he's like, but the big stores are still open, so... like, it would be better if he was just like, well, so while you're buying your, like, bags of avocados from Costco, make sure you pray one out before you leave.
Maybe it's just because I'm American, but I feel like we do that anyway.
Yeah.
So, like, I guess to me, it's like a joke. It's like, yeah, this just makes sense.
No, I want, like, religious flash mobs at
They just
Costco
show up
and
to
Walmart.
Costco for a religious service. Dear Lord. Somebody has to make a Joker meme out of that? At what part? I don't just, like, take Ben Bankas' weird Trudeau and then, like, Jokerize it? Like, I don't...
At the part where we live in a society.
This is someone who just clearly likes that nihilism, like, Joker humor, and is just like, ha, turn everything into a Joker meme. Trudeau got kicked out of engineering school and a master's program. How did he become our leader? I don't know. Maybe our leaders can be people who drop out of things.
Yeah. Oh, don't say that to them. Those start to get ideas.
Well, I mean, here's the people who fucking are pro Donald Trump. Like, they're hypocrites. I don't really care.
Yeah.
How does that get interesting? Sign this man to rebel immediately? I'm pretty sure he is signed already. Unless you're saying sign Trudeau to rebel immediately? Oh my god, Ben Bankas responded with a heart! Oh my god!
What's on his personal YouTube? Go.
Ben Bankas comedy? Oh yeah, just as a podcast. Grandma's Gotta Go. The Ben Bankas podcast? I don't know.
Look at those numbers. Look at those
200
goddamn
views,
numbers.
300 and... yeah. That's the thing, like, he's getting numbers from, like, doing the shit on,
Rebel.
Yeah, pulling them in.
And then he, like, reposts it on his own... He posts the stuff that he makes for Rebel on his own fucking show.
Yes. Yeah.
Tent City TikTok house? Oh no. Oh no. And that's the dude
Anti-fab.
who was the couple, his partner that you liked, Vienna, and it looks like he's making like fun of homeless people.
Don't imply that I liked him. I like that he spilled coffee on his shirt multiple times.
Oh no. Okay, I have to watch this. Oh no.
No,
It's like,
please.
no.
I didn't agree.
It says anti-fap, and and when you click it, he says, "We will not be distracted by these mind sluts."
All right. You know what? Let's go. Fine. One more.
Hello, I am the leader.
Encore.
Oh no. Oh no.
Hello, I am the leader of Anti-FAP, a pseudo-terrorist organization hell-bent on making sure men stop jerking off. I haven't fapped in 3 years and now I can bend spoons with my mind. We are not incels, but we are involuntarily celibate. I have erectile dysfunction. We will not be distracted by those mind sluts, the proud girls. Bunch of whores. They just want us to watch their TikToks. Well, guess what? I've been red-pilled. And by that I mean I'm starting to take a medication for my ED. It's actually blue. It's a blue chew. I blue-pilled. Here is one of our newest members, Matt. Listen to what he has to say.
I haven't jerked off in 2 weeks, and now my friends are intimidated by my masculine energy. God, my fucking dick hurts, dude. Okay. What is wrong with you people? I'm trying to improve my life, and you're fucking attacking me? I want to go jerk off.
Pretty powerful stuff, huh? Join our movement now, and stop jerking off today.
This is the second most racist video I've seen from Ben Bankas in the last 2 months.
There was actually jokes at the beginning of it, though. What was the, I can't remember.
All of Ben Bankas is a fucking joke.
I did genuinely find it funny when he goes, I haven't fapped in 3 years, and now I can bend spoons with my mind. I did appreciate that joke. It reminds me of... The thing is, it's a derivative joke. It reminds me of, what was it, on Seinfeld, where they make the pact where they're not going to have sex. And then all of a sudden, George Costanza becomes, like, amazing at baseball. Like, for some reason, not having sex, like, it like, cleared his head. And, like, Elaine has the opposite effect, where she becomes even dumber by, like, not having sex. Anyways, I mean, the music and the terror shtick thing going on, very racist. And the end joke where his buddy comes in, like, that shit was not that funny. But at least there was attempts at jokes in this one, I guess. Unlike whatever the fuck
I like
we
the
watched
term
on
pseudo-terrorist organization.
Yeah. And he spells it Suedo. Okay.
Sudoku.
Mine. We are not...
Is there any comments on this? Oh, there's only a few. I read news articles that claimed no fap was anti-Semitic. All right. Crazy Canucks and their twisted kids in the hall humor. Oh, do not denigrate the good name of Kids in the Hall. Jesus Christ. Funny sheet, dude. CSIS has deemed anti-fap a low-risk terrorist group. Buddy on the couch is good looking. Stevie, I know you're in good company.
No.
I know, you didn't say he was good looking. Oh, no. Someone responded to that person. Are you gay? Jesus.
Oh,
and then
dear.
someone responded,
Nope.
Ben is good looking. Oh, God.
No, that's it. I've had enough. Shut the website off. That's enough of that. That's enough. About the time someone's telling me Ben Bankas is good looking, it's time to go. Plug the Patreon.
We are approaching the 2-hour mark, so this is probably a good time to end it. Oh my God, I was pretty tired today. Thanks for sticking with it. Yeah, I should have a podcast episode out over the weekend, and then should be back on track for next week. stay safe, everyone. As the winter finally kicked in and we got hit with lots of snow that kept us inside, and COVID and all that nonsense, it's been really difficult. So I hope you're all hanging in there and taking care of yourselves. If by the off chance you have some extra money, you could either donate to Texas, who probably needs it a lot more than I do, but if you have anything left over, you can donate to our Patreon. I'd be more than appreciative, and hopefully can buy new equipment with it to make these things sound and look better, which would be nice. And I guess we also have the new we're Twitch affiliated. I still have to tweak things and make it work. As I said again, this week was really busy, and I don't know, you be a stay-at-home dad and tell me how you feel. Maybe your brain won't melt. Or will melt. See, I can't even make words work anymore. Words have completely failed me. But we have reached Twitch affiliate status. So if you have an Amazon Prime thing and you haven't subscribed to anyone, consider subscribing to us. And even if you don't, consider subscribing to us. It would be nice. I'd appreciate it. And I hope to do this more frequently eventually. But thanks for tuning in. And it looks like I will do next Muinth. Cool, Nick. I don't know what a Muinth is, but I'll take it. And I think we're going to raid some of that famous horse. I think that's it. Because they're famous. And you know what? I appreciate fame. /raid. I mean, we've been going back and forth.
So long as you don't appreciate horses.
So, yeah. Why, you don't like horses?
They're too fucked up.
Yeah. Should save that for we'll do a stream at some point. We'll get to the bottom of Vienno's distaste for horses. Figure out what that's all about. But for now, we're gonna go. So everyone in the chat, want to say goodbye to everyone?
Goodbye.
Good night.
And say hello to a famous horse. Goodbye.
Halo 3.